Well, welcome to part two, not of love languages. That's where we're headed, but right here. A few things your father forgot to tell you about men. Dr. J. Calvin Tibbs with you. I'm hoping that you're having a great time. I'm talking to you as daughters, perhaps even as sisters. You are single and you are looking to get married. And there are some things that you just might need to know about the male species. I'm not covering everything, just a few things. And today we have a couple of those things which start with, indeed, love languages. Now, there's a great book out there. I think Chapman is the last name of the author. But regardless, the five love languages. You can read that book and get some great insights about perhaps how you are, no doubt, and how the man is that you are looking to attract. Because please get this, every man is not designed to be with every woman. So if you're looking for the proverbial, don't get me wrong now, match made in heaven, you might be looking a long time, because if he's not perfect, because heaven is, and you're not perfect and heaven is, then these matches will never come together. So what we're really doing is asking for wisdom from heaven on what we should be doing in the earth, in these fallen states, if you will, okay? Because you may be on the back end of a relationship that didn't work, and as far as you're concerned, you're still frustrated. And in the sense of being fallen in that, if you will, you might very much be guarded in some things that you wouldn't be guarded in if you didn't have the pain. And the guy is the exact same way. So sometimes people are not doing well when they come together, and they somehow expect a perfect relationship to occur, like, something that happens in a 30-minute program on television or show. It doesn't go like that, folks. And I hope you know that. Now, the reality of how we work this is that we're going to take you through an entire process that I hope will help you in a big way, specifically when it comes down to men and your relationships. I don't know how many bad relationships you've had. I don't know how many good relationships you have had, but I'll tell you this, relationships, they might start in heaven in the sense of how they are designed, because, I mean, come on now, I believe in that. I do. But here's another thing I believe in. You got to work it out down here. So you need that prayer, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Well, guess who is on earth? You are. And that man that you want, both of y'all are here. You need insight, constant insight from there, which if it comes from the inside of you because of the kingdom, then you're going to be all right. Now, if it doesn't, then you're left to your best recognizances or your best resources, if you will, to get that worked out. So I'm going to assume, and assumption is the lowest form of knowledge, but I'm going to assume that you recognize that you have a need for help from God. I'm going to assume that. If that's not what you think, then it's okay. But if you know you need help, then you got to pray and you got to get help. You got to listen. You got to learn and you got to grow. But we're going to talk about these five love languages because they're important to the process. Now, check this out. The first one, well, you can put them in any order, is quality time. I'm going to talk to you, though, through the lens of love for men. Men view love differently than women. Women generally view love from, I don't want to say that men don't think about love from their hearts. I'm not saying that, but I am saying to you that men and love translate as respect. Respect in the categories that I'm about to talk about are something I want you to listen to see if you or your girlfriends even have this in mind. And I hear somebody saying already, what about me? This is for you. I'm trying to help you understand how to attract the kind of man that you say that you want. And if you have a record of always failing or picking the wrong guy and failure, you want to look at maybe perhaps you don't know the love language that you need, nor the love language that he is. So the first one we're going to deal with in terms of respect is quality time. So quality time is just what it says. It's time spent together doing quality things. I don't particularly think that going to the movies or watching television is quality time, but some people do. And I do go to the movies with my wife, and I do watch television with my wife, and that can be called that. But quality time on a far deeper level is not what's on the screen that you're watching, but what's on the screen that's dictating how you feel and how you think, meaning FaceTime. We had FaceTime in our relationship, which is 38 years and running. Hallelujah, and a great blessing. Way back before FaceTime was even invented, because as I used to call it, we spent a lot of time in one another's faces because we needed to. We needed to notice things, not flaws and not necessarily attributes, but who am I talking to? You. And who is she talking to? Me. Well, FaceTime allows you to understand features, tendencies, etc., etc. When you don't have FaceTime or quality time, it's very difficult to read when change comes. You know, some people don't know that rain is coming until it falls. That's not good when the clouds were already forming. You with me? So for a man, if his language of love is quality time, to respect that is to accommodate that in the manner that shows him love. Boy, that's worth a lot right there. That, I hope you got that. It's one way that you can upgrade your relationship, but I'm talking to dating people who are trying to walk in the relationship to begin with. Okay, so quality time, I got to kind of hit these and go because there are 5 of them, and then we have other sections to do, all in 30 minutes or less, because that's what these sections are packed with. So we're going to pack it. You can always rewind it. So that's quality time. So how does a man view love? Through respect. Through respect. The second area we're going to look at is acts of service. Acts of service are defined as things that are done for the man. Done like cooking. Well, he can cook himself. Yep. So wait for the next one. That don't mind that. But if the man that you are after loves acts of service and cooking is a part of that, then you want to adjust or find a man that fits what your love language capacity to give is. But we're talking about what an act of service is. An act of service is connected to, and it doesn't have to be just cooking. It's looking out for him. It's doing things, as it were, for him. You're not a servant of his, nor a slave of his. You are a co-laborer. Not yet, because you're just a friend right now, because I'm mostly talking to dating people. If you're in a covenant and you're watching this, then it's a marriage covenant with blood. It's a whole deeper set of realities. But quality time, or acts of service, I'm sorry, they really do deal with, not even having to be told to do. It's like a preemptive strike, for lack of a better term. It's a love strike. Like, here's the remote. He's looking for it. Give him the remote. Be a blessing to him in that way. I'm just telling you how men think in terms of respect. And respect can be defined as affirmation. So if you affirm that you are aware of his tendencies or his habits, good ones, of course, bad ones, you're probably going to see those too, then that demonstrates respect and or translated love. And that's the only thing I can think of, because I'm not really an act of service type guy, but it doesn't matter whether I am or not. The person that you're looking to date, acts of service are what you want to do. So one way that I serve or bless my queen, my wife, is by providing acts of service, because that's a major part of her love language. She loves to give. So she's a cook, an excellent cook. She loves to make things better. I called her a builder queen. So she loves to do things which are acts of service. So in order for my love towards her to be seen, if acts of service is what she wants, then I do things for her. Oops, I left my laptop upstairs. I don't say, well, go get it. I go get it. We're upstairs. Where are my glasses? They're not on your head this time. They're on the kitchen table. I'll get it. Nope, I'll get it. See, these are acts of service. You don't have to be told to do this. I am demonstrating in that regard. And so it is with you. If you know that he likes acts of service, then do that. Now, you, of course, have limits and borders on the acts of service. We're not asking you to take abuse or any of that, because love does not abuse. In fact, love gives. It is lust that takes. We'll talk about that in a later broadcast, later session. But let's move on now to another component of this word respect. It deals with esteem. A man's esteem, his value, his respect is rooted inside of esteem, self-esteem, easily, meaning almost you could say self-worth, but self-esteem deals with how he feels. Now, please don't get this wrong. You can make him feel a certain way based upon your influence on him. But the goal is not to have people making you do anything. The goal is allowing folks access to your heart. And so a few things your daddy might not have told you is that men look at love through the lens of respect and or esteem. And if you move into the area of touch, touch as an act of esteem is favorable to a man. I'll give you an example. I remember years ago, we were married like maybe 4 months, maybe less than a year for sure. And I was at a client's house. No, that's not true. So it would have been 4 years, 5 years. And I say that because it wasn't until I got out of the military close that I was working in the insurance business. And I went to this couple's house with the guy that was training me. And the guy was sitting there and he was talking and we were talking to him. And I just noticed how the lady put her arm around his arm, kind of like right around his biceps and kind of grasped him there. And I was like, I kind of like that. Okay, we're talking about touch because, you know, that's my love language. Then touch is my thing. But the point is, I went back home and I was like, honey, what, baby? Why don't you ever put your arms like, you know, right here? You know, I got some guns. Well, where are they? Pistols, right? We're working it out. We lost some weight, but we're coming back. But anyway, she's like, I don't know. And I know why she didn't know, because that's not her love language. Okay? It's not her love language. Well, guess what? It didn't end our relationship, neither did it provide a blip on the screen. It's not her love language. But I'm talking to you about what men view in the form of respect, that if you recognize that, you may very well win him in this context. So when you talk about touch, it's a symbol of respect through the definition of the word esteem. It's like she esteems me enough to touch me in my strength. That's why guys do biceps. I mean, you know, bicep exercises, right? It's not just to look good, it's to look good for you. And of course, to be strong and lift things. But let's face it. Most of the guys lifting weights aren't doing it. They're doing it for show. They're not doing it for farm work, doing it for girl work. So recognize, again, men view love differently. For a man, it's respect. And respect is defined as, and we've gone over a couple of them, esteem and consideration. Let's move to the fourth of these love languages. I hope you're tracking with me. We're just talking about recognizing the kind of language that he is and speak the language of love for him. That's what we're dealing with. Number 4 on this topic is gifts. Now, you again may be the gifts person. You may love it when he gives you gifts. But we're talking about a few things your father may have forgotten to tell you about men. And one of those is, if he likes gifts, it wouldn't be a bad idea to give him some gifts. I didn't say go out and buy him a Lamborghini. I don't know what type of gift he likes. I work with a lot of couples, and some guys couldn't care less about gifts. They want to be touched. They want to be hugged, as it were. But when you come down to gifts, you got to be smart about it. You know what your budget is. You know what his likes are. You know what he doesn't fashionably do well. Perhaps you can help with some fashion tips or some things that connect him with better foods. And a gift that you could provide him is chlorophyll. Not advocating it, although I take it myself, just took it a few minutes ago, because of its benefits. Or vitamins. I don't know what you're going to buy him as a gift, but when gifts are provided to a man who has love on his mind, respect is what it means. And when you give through gifts, you're highly regarding him. When you get him something, you're highly regarding him. And you may think it's just about you and the wedding dress and the wedding girls and the bridesmaids and the makeup and the nice house and all that stuff that goes with that. Are you good? But just a few things given to that guy could melt his heart like you can't believe. Even the gift, act of service, of a nice meal, a nice dinner, or I don't know what it is. You have to pay attention to that guy in order to know what kind of a gift it is that he benefits from the most. I hope that makes sense to you. Let's move on to number 5. These are the 5 love languages Once again, we are talking about just a few things that your father may have forgotten to tell you. So I'm here to just kind of help you out with regards to that. And I hope you're not being offended by these things, because it's really only designed to help you in your relationship, especially if you're looking on the dating scene. Now, please don't base your marriage on what he gives back to you. Don't base your marriage. I'm talking about getting ready to get married. Okay. Don't base what you do on, well, he has all 5 of my love languages. Most people only have 1 or 2. But if he clicks those things, that just means that you're talking his language. But there are multiple languages in a marriage. And it's not just the quote language of love along this particular strain. There's a whole bunch more that goes with it. But because, again, you're here on the earth, you got to put these things together. Let's go to the second big item that maybe your father didn't get to tell you that you may need to know. And let's talk about how men love. Is that the one? Nope, that's last. We're going to go here next. Let's go to ego to a man. Ego to a man is what femininity is to a woman. Ego to a man, a male's ego, is what being feminine is to a woman. The strength of a woman, your strength, is not found in your biceps, although there is strength there. It's not in your thighs, although there is strength there. It's not in your feet, although there is strength there. Your whole body has strength. But your strength, I'm talking about the metaphoric, the attraction, is in being feminine. That's a power. Don't ever lose it. When you are feminine, there's something that, like a fragrance that comes from you for that guy who is looking. I found my fragrance 38 years ago. She's still my fragrance. For a man, though, if femininity is to a woman what gives her power strength, her girl power, then an ego is what gives him his man power. Now, I'm not talking about the male ego where he is brutish and mean and my way or the highway. That's not that. That's weakness, and it's hiding behind being, I don't know. But my point is, the male ego in the context of this is really designed to provide some of the very things I just said a moment ago, which is self-worth. If you understand that a man needs self-worth, instead of, this wouldn't be you, I'm sure. I hope not. If it is, please change, or you'll stay single a long time, or you'll attract the kind of man that wants the abuse that you dish. And I hope that's not you. When it comes down to ego, self-worth is connected to a man's ego. Self-worth is a great description of a man's ego. In fact, when you look at a person's self-worth, you know, the hierarchy of needs is started down here with survival, or what is that? Food, clothing, and shelter. And then you start moving up the pyramid there of Maslow's plan. But there are many other types of pyramids, but everybody basically does start down here with food, clothing, shelter, and safety. Well, when it comes to a man, his ego has got to be safe in your hands. Because please know this, as a rib, a future rib that you are, you come from the area that protects his heart. And if you now start bruising his self-worth, it's going to be tough for that thing to work out like that. It's going to be tough because his worth is being attacked, if you will, from the inside. You know, and again, I take this concept from God taking a rib from Adam and using it to make Eve. So she comes from a part of him. She doesn't come from the foot bone. She doesn't come from the head bone. She comes from the bones around the heart to protect him. If you are a bruiser, it could be a reason why, you know, maybe your father didn't tell you that. But if you want a relationship, you want to protect the heart, the ego of the man. I'm not talking about, I'm the man here. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about his self-worth. Number 2 on this, ego to men is what femininity is to a woman, is dealing with identity. Now, identity is something that is in crisis in a lot of places around the globe today. It's in crisis because there's a meaning crisis. Things don't mean what they used to mean to this person or that group or this in this era. The meaning must be established because you are a meaning maker. What that basically means is when you're in a relationship, something your daddy may not have told you, with a man, is that his identity is important, which is why historically women take on the identity, last name, of the man. Now, I know that there's some hyphens out there. I'm not even dealing with that. I'm talking about the identity that you want to take on in the future. If after the first date you can't see yourself identifying with him, you need to move on because his identity does not connect with yours. But if you can see yourself connected, then the identity of that individual, we're talking about ego is to men, what being feminine is to women. You want to know that his identity is going to also be connected to his name. Now, he may not even recognize what his name means. I ask these questions a lot with people because I know that names, thank you, Pastor Robin Hancock's, grant legal access. Not going into that, just simply saying if you call somebody out of their name, you are giving access legally because you authorize it for this person to respond outside of the name you gave them or the name that their mother and father gave them. So you call them a dog, you call them the B word, you call them whatever. Then you're granting access for the person's nature and character to start identifying with that. So you just want to stay away from those kinds of things when you're talking about relationships, period, especially with a man. Identity is connected to his value and therefore to his strength. Okay, number 3 on this point is ego is defined as personality. Now, there are multiple personality tests out there, the EFMJ, the touching feeling, the disc profile, whether you're a dolphin or an eagle, otter, so many different types, colors, all of those things work. And then there's the purpose development survey, which is very powerful. It gets underneath the workings of personality and then goes a little bit deeper even than that and starts talking about the intuitive nature, what causes you to do what you do intuitively. And women, as you know, my sister, are loaded with intuition. Not that men are not, but women are generally more receptive to where they are. Well, that receptivity has to be used to check out his personality. I know you're the jewel of the relationship, but he's the king of the relationship. You're the queen of the relationship. And if you're going to walk with him, you got to know the kind of person that he is. And here you go. Don't go about trying to change his personality. It just won't work. I love all the money he's making. I love the way he looks, but his personality is terrible. I'm going to change it. No, you are not. You're going to get frustrated in that process. So take that off of your plan. If your father didn't tell you that, I'm trying to help you with that. Take that off the plate. Find someone else or learn to adapt if it's worth it to you in this regard. See, I'm giving you worth in this, or I'm adding to your worth in this if you hadn't checked this out. By default, what you're hearing is know what you want. If you don't know what you want, create what you want in your own heart so that when you meet a person, you realize you're not what I'm looking for. And therefore, you can help save yourself some heartbreak. Okay, number 4 on this ego is to men what femininity or being feminine is to a woman is ego is defined as character. So 4 definitions of the word ego, character. Now, character formation is a lot. I mean, it's a whole lot. And some men are men of great character. Some men are not men of great character. You got to recognize, it would behoove you to recognize whether or not your man's ego is or isn't connected to the kind of character you want to associate yourself with. Listen, please don't let making a lot of money or having great intimacy before the covenant has been provided at the altar, great sex. Please don't mistake covenant and don't mistake character for personal wish list items. Because if the character is jaded by your great desire to be received or wanted, then you miss out on the ineptness of that person's character until it starts breaking your heart. I'll say that a different way. Why is it that sometimes people just don't see bad character in other people? Answer: desperation. And the desperation is at the bottom of that pyramid of Maslow's and other types of studies because it triggers the survival mechanism. It triggers survival. And if you're in survival, then it's almost like any man will do with a few exceptions. And those exceptions are things that you don't have to deal with. But if you have a high tolerance for low character, then his ego, which you could be stroking because of what you're getting in return, it isn't helping you at all. You want to learn to be an excellent judge of character, and you really judge that by verifying your own character, in the light of what Scripture says is character. And if you want some homework, 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is about 16 things in there. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, about 16 different things. And when you look at your own patience, your own kindness, your own ability to be long suffering, your own ability to not keep an account of wrongdoings, when you look at that list and you see that person swirling, but they don't have the bank account that you want, or you see that person swirling, maybe I'm talking about inquiring about you, but maybe their nose is bigger than what you want. I mean, I don't know what the features are that you personally desire, but I'm trying to convey to you that if his character is worse than his looks, and looks win, maybe it's your ego. I'm joking, it's women's ego, but you get what I'm saying. Maybe it's your femininity that is wanting something that is far less important than the proven character of the person. We'll talk about some of those ways that you can help him with that later on. So I hope that helps you now. We're talking about ego is to man what being feminine is to a woman. All right, you ready for the last one? All right, this one's a little shorter than the other ones. How men love. Now, I'm not the full expert on things. Of course, with a doctorate, you have a slice of expertise that you walk in. I'm not relying on that in this when I say what I'm about to say. Women generally, in fact, probably more times than not, love from the heart. When a woman loves a man, I know we sing that song, when a man loves a woman. Well, when a woman loves a man, she generally loves him from the heart. Loves straight from the heart. No matter what he looks like, no matter if he's making bank or not, a woman generally loves from the heart. Now, a man generally starts the process of love with his eyes. He's loving what he's seeing, baby. I love her eyelashes. I love her figure. I love her smile. I love her teeth. Whatever it is that he loves, he's loving based upon what he sees. You're loving, for lack of a better term, from what you're feeling. That's what I mean by from the heart. So if a man is loving from the eyes, and you recognize, if you recognize that, it's going to be very important to understand what that looks like as you age, as you get a few pounds larger, perhaps. I know you never think that size 2 is going to turn to a size 12. But if you go to the store these days, you see that they're getting larger, the sizes are, and larger. Your man still got to love you beyond what he sees. You got to get the revelation of that in the character step, which is in the ego of the man, which is, does he have the capacity in the love languages to demonstrate patience this entire time? Now, you can't know the future unless you get prophetic insight or a word of wisdom. But I am telling you this, if you want to reduce the risk of your own heartbreak, start paying attention to words that he says. If he dogs out women that are the opposite of what he likes, looks are too important to him to overwhelm your yes. In other words, your yes ought to be, let me hold up now, because the way he's talking about people could easily turn on you if you start changing, because men start off at least loving with their eyes. You're loving with your feelings, with your heart. He's loving with his eyes. And I'll say this to you in bringing this session to a close. If you're with the guy who is always, DMing and always distracted when a certain type walks by, please don't think that's going to change in time. When mechanical things go wrong, they don't get better with time. Not in the natural, they don't. That sound generally, clankety, clankety, clank, gets worse because it's mechanical. Well, physiological things or psychological things are reasonably the same. If it's broken, it doesn't get better because life is lived. It gets better just like you take a car to a mechanic when the soul of the person is brought underneath the watchful eye of what I consider to be great coaching. And so if you have a man that would be willing to go through some coaching, I invite you to go to calvintibbs.com, and I'll do a free strategy session with him. Be glad to help you. And also very, very soon, today you can join the free Relationship Doctor Facebook group, which is fantastic to be a part of. And then there's another free thing in addition to the strategy session, which I'm giving you right there. You can go there, you can go to the website, free, but it might help your cause. In fact, it will help your cause to help the guy see what he really thinks on the inside. I'm not saying he doesn't know what he thinks about his own thoughts. I'm sure he knows what he thinks. But it would be good to know if the man is made for marriage. And for that, we have a survey. Now, it's a paid survey. Get him to pay for it. It'd be better than going out to dinner. So you can recognize what's up. And again, you can get that. I need to put this up here. Man-made survey. Man-made for marriage survey. But it's available there at calvintibbs.com. We're making a few changes to it, but you can get it right now. And it will bless you, because once he starts realizing what he is, wisdom says, I'll get him to start talking to you about what went over, what he did, how he thinks about 4 key areas, because those areas are going to directly affect his leadership of you. I hope this helps. These are just, once again, a few things that your father may have forgotten to tell you about men. We got a few more that we're going to go over later on. But in the meantime, enjoy the day. We'll see you soon. Thank you.